Good morning, everybody. Oliver Joyce here from Whiskey Barrel Studios, and welcome to a rainy Thursday morning. Rainy being the operative word here because it started raining last Friday and it's been raining pretty much on and off ever since. Over the weekend, we had torrential rain, like crazy rain, record breaking rain. And it sounds funny for me to be talking about this, but in the recent months, as many of you know, there's been crazy bushfires in Australia that have, wiped out huge areas of bushland. We've had 40 degrees Celsius days for, weeks and weeks, and it's just been a hellhole, really. And we had something like 100 bushfires raging across the state. With this rain over the weekend, most of those fires have gone out. That's how powerful the rain was. As a downside of that, there's been storms and flooding and so on, and I haven't had power from Sunday until yesterday. So we've been camping out at my mum's house. My wife and my son and I just moved house for a while. So I wasn't able to do much work on Crusader, being the operative point of this whole conversation. My house flooded. I had to get down there with a sponge and bucket and get all the water out of the basement, which wasn't much fun. But that, my friends, is not why you are here, no doubt. You're here to hear some more about Swords and Sandals Crusader Redux, I hope. Firstly, let me mention two things to you, which I'll talk about in future videos. Swords and Sandals Spartacus is coming for mobile quite soon. We're just doing the last testing of the game. And that will be a free game, and you can watch ads to get extra lives if you want. Or you can pay a one-off price and have unlimited lives. It's very similar to how the Maximus games work. It won't be too expensive. For those who like the PC version, or those who haven't tried the PC version, this might be an interesting one for you to check out. Other than that, I've got a special surprise for people who like the music of Swords and Sandals. I'm putting together a soundtrack package for Steam. And although most of these songs are available on YouTube, a lot of people actually want to listen to it on their phones and that kind of thing. So there'll be a cheap couple of dollars or something, and you get a bunch of the songs from the game if you're interested. So that'll be going up in the next few weeks on Steam as well. I'll let you know about that. In Crusader news, I've been working on updating the map, and I'm going to show you that now. So let's jump over to the map. All right. So when I last showed you this, it was just a flat map itself, but now we have a much more detailed version of the map, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see. We have mountain ranges there up in the north. We've got little sort of rocks and detail of rivers, kind of wizened trees there. That's sort of a dangerous area up in Clog and Kragenbach, and there's Bargel's Castle, Bargel's Tower, which you can just notice. It looks a bit transparent there. I've got to fix that up. Over here we have, of course, Sewell's Gateway, and this is the setting for Swords and Sandals 5 right here. I'll highlight this for you. Pretty much there is where all the action in Swords and Sandals 5 takes place. That's little town, that's the mountain where Antares is buried and so on. Right there, so here we go. Over here we have some more lower mountains. Swampland, pretty dire looking swampland. The forest of Fergalheart, and a major river that goes down. I gotta name some of these rivers as well. This is just marshland and swampland that goes all the way over to there to sort of Etania and Bog Stench, and this is where the Sons of Frost sort of live, basically from here down to here, all those tribes. Over here we have Willard Sound over there. This is probably the most important part of the whole game. Actually, I'm just going to show pixel grid off. There we go. This is probably the most important part of the whole Swords and Sandals universe. And I showed you in the last video, but that right there is the constellation Mirror. And that's where everyone comes to Brandor from. Every 50 years or so, the Mirror opens. It's basically a portal. Imagine a portal with starlight behind it. and you kind of look into it, and you look into space, and it blazes into light every 50 years or so, and travels from space find their way through it. That's how people have got to the planet of Tritonia, where this game is set, over the years. And of course, the first people to get there were the precursors, which is a bunch of races and so on. And then every 50 years or so, monsters and other races have turned up. I've been writing a lot of that stuff in the Tome of Lore, which I'm doing a big update on soon. So this over here is Fator, this area here. And that's, where King Lionel's castle. This is basically the most powerful province in all of Brandor. I'm drawing on this map, but I'll delete it later. This is Shackleford over here, where Wolfgang comes from, but Wolfgang now leads up the armies of Braxis, which is a major power. This is sort of like, Greek, Italian countryside. The trees are different here. It's warmer climate. This is a major forest over here. I can't remember the name of it. This is Archmagius, where the wizards live, in these big towers over here. This is the Edengarth, where the evil Chaos and his men live, and his soldiers, men and women, all cultists really. It's sort of nasty marshland and bogs and that kind of thing. And then you go through this valleys in here, through here, and this is the Badlands, and a lot of bandits and marauders and people live down there. This is really the only way to get down to the Akash Steppes and the Takash Desert and Taj Brandir, which is formerly a great power in the south, but it's been overrun by Arglax the Beastmaster and his forces. And they live somewhere in around this oasis. Taj Brandir is somewhere around there, near this valley of water. And up the coast here, if we go up here, you can see Pilthia. And Pilthia is where the Cycladians live, the seafaring people who feature in Swords and Sandals Pirates. They're not originally from Brandor. No one really is originally from Brandor, but they are a newly arrived alien race who are searching for a new homeland when their own planet was destroyed. So that's kind of interesting. And right down here is another mysterious land that's beginning. That's not Eldor Hath, but it leads to somewhere else mysterious. Eldor Hath, however, is connected down here through Dankheart, and there's a land bridge, and then this mysterious dark mountains of Eldor Hath. And this is shrouded in sort of dark colors and so on, because it is a volcanic and mysterious land that is not well charted. And this, of course, is where Antares live. The province on the map in Swords and Sandals Crusader is called Eldor Hath, but it's really just the gateway to the whole continent, which I will detail in a future story, because I actually haven't worked it out yet, what's down there. They're the major parts of the map. Dracondir, which is basically the Jerusalem of the world of Brandor. It's been fought over, won and lost many times, and it's the holy city of Sul the One. That's where that X is, and that's been fought over. And that's a very strategic point, because you can see people try to come through these mountains here to get down there, and it's a big trade route, so you can see why it's been fought over. Gallowstones, where Selen Helmgard and his forces live, that is up here, pretty much up there somewhere. And what other points of note are there? Who else is in this game? Yeah, of course, yeah, Braxis over here. I'm sure there's some people I'm forgetting. But yeah, that is the map so far. And it's probably not going to change that much, but I'm going to offer a few variations to players in Crusader, because some people may not want to play with all that detail, and they might just want to use the... let's find it. Crusader Redux, Media Graphics, Crusader Art, Brandor Map. Yeah, this is the old one. People might just want to play on this basic map, because of course the color guides go over the top of it, and so you will see sort of different different provinces lit up, and it might be easier for people to just look at that. So I'm going to have a few options in the game for which map style you'd like to select. All right, that's that. And before I go, I want to just talk you through a few of the stories from Swords and Sandals Crusader. And as you know, many of you submitted stories for me to add into the game. When I say stories, they're basically little adventures that players encounter a few times each campaign. They're little choose your own adventure style bits of flavor text that can have a positive or negative negative result. Sorry, it's early in the morning. Not that early, but need my coffee. Yeah, so I'm going to read you a couple of these ones that I've rewritten, and they're based on, of course, the ones that you did. I'm only going to read you maybe 3 or 4 because I don't want to spoil them. But this one is from McNaughton Enoro, and it's called Child in the Well. And this is, of course, my sort of reinterpretation of it. It is mid-morning. Your army marches through a field of long grass. A woman dressed in white and grey runs towards you, crying frantically, "Good sir, please help! My daughter has fallen into a well. She will drown. I need your aid at once." So you've got 2 options. Go and rescue the child from the well, or ignore the woman and keep marching. So if you choose to go and rescue the child, it reads, "Without a moment's hesitation, you and a handful of soldiers run to the woman's aid. She leads to a well in a forlorn clearing, but strangely you hear no cries of help from the well. All too late you realize you were ambushed. A bandit in green slashes the throat of one of your soldiers, and arrows fell 2 more of your men. The battle is joined and you fight off the ambush. All are slain, including the treacherous woman. You ransack through the bandit's possessions and find a small sum of gold. Alas, not enough to replace the loss of your troops." Yeah, so that one is basically lose some soldiers and gain some gold. But if you choose to ignore the woman and keep marching, you hear the woman wails and many men shout in protest at your decision. Several throw down their weapons and run to the woman's aid. Sometime later that morning, you see the woman and a child staring balefully at you from a farmhouse. Your former soldiers are there too also. Having abandoned your army, they jeer at you and make rude gestures in your direction. You march on. So basically, in this one, you lose less men, but you lose morale also. So that's a bit of a rough scenario. Another one. This one's from Purple Mango, and I've, of course, took the basic gist of his story and rewrote it a little bit. But so there was some really creative stuff in there, and it's fantastic to see so many, people put stories in. I've actually got about 40 written so far, plus another 50 from the original Crusader. So we're going to end up with over 100 by the time it's all said and done. So chances are you'll be, seeing new stories for quite some time. So the one from Purple Mango is A Butchered Feast. During the night, you are visited by celebrity chef and former arena champion John the Butcher, who offers to feed the army from a new menu he's designed. All are served a hearty meal. The night is merry and filled with ale and cheer. However, what John neglects to disclose about the meal was it was indeed slop designed for pigs, not humans. Many soldiers double over in pain, racked with food poisoning. By morning, 5 men have died. You immediately dismiss John from the service of your army and vow never to eat at one of his meat emporiums again. So that's a little shout out to John the Butcher, the famous arena champion, who for some reason decides to serve your men food. There is no options in that one. If you draw that card, basically, you lose 5 soldiers. Sad times, sad times. There was another one from... There's another one. My good friend Ilya Gudovich, who writes, Rebellion. After several days of endless marching and training with what some consider to be less than generous pay, a group of soldiers have become disgruntled. They take off their army tabards and amass amount your war camp, armed and furious, demanding change. Will you placate them with gold or offer them the iron price? So, at option 1, 500 gold ought to make them happy. Option 2, rebel scum, they will taste the sword. So if you choose to placate them with gold, it reads, you open the war chest and disperse gold amongst both your loyal troops and the rebellious faction. The grumbling quietens and the rebels return to the fold, placated once more. You vow to keep an eye on them, lest they try to stir mutiny or rebellion once again. So with that one, you lose some gold, but the morale goes up. So if you choose to fight the rebels, it reads, the seeds of rebellion must be uprooted at once, lest they spread doubt and see your army come undone. You order the rest of your loyal troops to charge upon the rebel forces, and battle begins. So that one basically leads to a fight, and also you lose morale. So that's a tough one. That's really tough. Also, there's a typo in that one. Where was that typo? It's not a Swords and Sandals game without a few typos, right? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'll read you one more. This one was from KBHD, who wrote me a couple of really good ones. All you guys wrote some really good ones, and I think I've put almost all of them in there. I might have missed one or two, but I'm pretty sure I got most of them. This one is called Night of the Great Freeze. The night is bitterly cold, one of the worst chills you can remember in your lifetime. A bitter wind howls, and the temperature plummets in mere minutes, despite large bonfires being lit and extra blankets distributed amongst the soldiers. None can seem to get warm. After a sleepless night, you wake to find 8 soldiers have died from exposure to the cold. You curse the weather gods and begin the day's march once again. That one, you lose 8 soldiers and 20 morale. A lot of these events are quite brutal. There's not a lot of positive ones. So if you get an event, chances are, it's grim times. Do we have time for another? Do you want to hear another? Let's do one more. From Dilsan, who writes Mushrooms of Madness. While wandering through a copse of trees, some of your soldiers discover some peculiar-looking mushrooms. One of the more culinary-inclined warriors in your army attempts to cook the mushrooms into a small stew against your wishes. After the stew is cooked, 6 warriors sit down and devour it hungrily. That night, you are awakened by screams and groans of pain in the camp. The warriors who ate the stew lie prostrate, retching their guts out. Some of them have gone mad, attacking each other with a frenzied look in their eyes. Although you order men to restrain them, by dawn, all have died. The army marches on with a heavy heart. You lose 6 soldiers and 20 morale. Again, another negative one. I got to balance a few of these out with some positive events. But as I said, I've done nearly 40 of these so far, and lots more still to come. So they're going to be a good addition. So that's all I really have to say. This fine rainy Tuesday, the grass is looking nice and green after it being so brown in Australia, and I'm really thankful for that. Going without power is a small, first world problem. It really wasn't a big deal. I was able to, still do everything we wanted, and it's not a big deal. It makes you think about those people who are in really tough predicaments, those who are homeless, or those in war zones, or those in third world countries. And the problems we have here are very minor indeed. It's not something that we should really complain about, but we do anyway. It is our nature. I will return soon with another video, and I want to send my apologies to everybody in the Discord channel. It's a bit quiet there at the moment, I do apologize. Sometimes I can stir up some conversation, so on, with new bits of information about the game and that kind of thing. Sometimes I just don't have time to go there, and of course when it's quiet in between games, there's just not that much to talk about, is there? And Spartacus, of course, is in development. We have signed a deal to get the game brought on Switch, which I'll be telling you more about in a future video. That's not for some time, but for those who have a Nintendo Switch, the game is coming to that, and I think it will be the ideal platform for that game. It, of course, hasn't stirred that much debate amongst the Swords and Sandals fans because it is quite different, and I accept that. That's all right. I love the game. I mean, it's one of my favorite games that I've made, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to play. But I can understand that a lot of people want gladiator games and they want games set in Brandor. So each to their own. There is, of course, much more Swords and Sandals to come this year and in the years beyond, and I do want to thank you all for being part of the journey and joining me on this wonderful Swords and Sandals adventure. The Swords and Sandals website has been updated now, and you will be able to find the Tome of Lore there now. Again, I'm just sort of rattling off new things. If you go to swordsandsandals.com, the first thing you'll see now is the Tome of Lore, and please go through that if you want to know more information about the world of Brandor, of Tritonia and the continent of Brandor and the characters within. When things quieten down, I will be writing a lot more because there's so much more to write on that. That is basically, the world that I've come up with, and there's so much up here that I need to get on paper. Stuff that I haven't even thought of, stuff that I have written down in other forms. It needs to go on there before I do the big role-playing game Constellation Mirror, because it will all form the backdrop to that. And of course the events from Swords and Sandals 6 will happen before Constellation Mirror. And we'll see. Hopefully if these games all do well, I'll be able to be basically working on this all full-time, building new games, writing a Tome of Lore, drawing new maps, everything. I'm doing it 3 days a week now, which is fantastic, but I still think we're a little way from going full-time. Maybe end of this year. Touch wood. Fingers crossed. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, bye for now.